Well, on this triple-digit day, it was one without air conditioning for a good chunk of Mesa, and all over 16,000 customers in the dark during some of the hottest hours of the day.
Yeah, the City of Mesa says the issue was at a substation co-owned by the city and SRP. A failed relay on the breaker that feeds the City of Mesa is to blame for this outage. In all, the power was only out for about 2 hours, but as you can imagine, that was enough for most.
It was pretty hot. It's a hot time of year to be without AC, especially for like 2 hours. There was a big problem, I guess, around town because lots of customers said they were coming in. Circle K's were closed as well, so it impacted a big part of town.
The issue's been fixed and all power was restored just after 4 o'clock this afternoon. And we want to bring in meteorologist Mark Dannon now. And Mark, we know all too well it doesn't take long for the heat to turn dangerous.
Yeah, especially while we have an excessive heat warning in effect, and that's going to be the case through tomorrow night. A reminder about those signs if you're too hot when it comes to heat cramps that you can experience. You can get muscle spasms. Look out for those, from losing your hydration through sweat. Headaches, dizziness, and nausea are some other symptoms you should be looking out for possible heat exhaustion, as well as a dizziness and fainting. And then heat stroke is even more serious, and that's when your core body temperature reaches 103 or higher, and you have to watch out for sweating, spasms, and an increased heart rate. Those are all signs of heat stroke. And of course, if you see any heat-related illness, to call 911, and most importantly, try and cool that person down. As we're looking at temperatures right now that are still on the hot side after we hit 113 today in Phoenix. We are at 109 right now in Mesa. 110 in Glendale, 109 in Scottsdale, 108 in Cave Creek, and 109 in Apache Junction, and 110 in Goodyear. It is hot out there and around the state. In the 80s right now in Flagstaff, 99 in Globe, and 103 in Tucson. We have that excessive heat warning in effect through tomorrow night at 8 p.m. with some hot temperatures tonight and similarly hot weather tomorrow. As radar showing just a few thunderstorms up to the northeast right now around Shola. We're tracking fairly light monsoon activity right now, but we'll be on the lookout or the northeast part of the state through the evening hours. So that excessive heat warning through tomorrow night, and then a little quieter as we head towards Monday. We're going to see the monsoon storms really ramp up midweek. We'll have details ahead.
We want to get to an update now on that massive fire in Glendale. 17 cars going up in flames.
Multiple auto businesses near 61st Avenue in Glendale impacted by this fire. The city putting up this sign right here letting customers know it is unsafe to enter the property. Behind that fenced, damaged classic cars, many of them burned to their shells. Still no word yet on what caused that fire or when the owners of those vehicles will be allowed to look through all of that wreckage. Police say an employee was taken to the hospital with second-degree burns.
And new tonight, Vintage Motors, that's one of the shops impacted by that blaze. Well, the company posted on Facebook calling this one of their worst days. They say everything inside is a total loss, but they made sure to thank Glendale firefighters for their hard work, saying the fire could have been worse, and they're just thankful that no one there was seriously hurt. They're now trying to reconnect undamaged cars with their owners.
Video we are just getting into the newsroom today showing a motorcyclist being dragged earlier this month in Phoenix. This happening back on July 10th. Police just releasing this video, though. They say the driver of the truck intentionally hit the driver at the intersection of West Earl Drive and North 27th Avenue. So the driver then dragging that motorcycle and the rider into the intersection. The driver then just takes off. Here's a closer look at that suspect's car. Police say that it is a gray 1998 or a 1999 Toyota Tacoma. They say the truck could have some front end damage. You can call Silent Witness with any information.
Phoenix firefighters rescuing multiple pets from a house fire this morning. It started in the backyard near North 35th Avenue and West Greenway Road. They say those flames quickly spread to the home's attic. The owners were able to get out on their own while fire crews rescued their 3 dogs and a cat. Nobody was hurt. And Phoenix police, they are searching for this man tonight. They say he threatened a Chevron employee with a gun after trying to get free gas. This happened back on June 8th at the station near North 32nd and East Shea Boulevard. The suspect apparently asked the clerk for $20 in gas, but then walked out before paying. Police say he started hitting a pump outside, and when the clerk confronted him, he pointed a gun demanding gas. No one was hurt.
A growing health concern in the valley tonight, West Nile virus. Dozens of cases already reported this year, and this weekend crews, they're going to be hitting the streets, smogging different areas for mosquitoes. ABC 15 looking at mosquito trap testing data that shows when and where county traps have had a positive test, specifically for West Nile. Hundreds of traps are tested every week And an apparent hotspot is near the 101 and the 202 Red Mountain interchange. This individual trap has returned a positive West Nile test 13 times since April. And on wildfire watch, Flagstaff is preparing for potentially devastating flooding following the museum fire. 3 sandbag sites are up and running, and emergency managers, they're working around the clock. The fire has left a massive burn scar. Now, normally that land would just absorb the rainfall, but after a fire, the landscape is more like smooth glass rather than a sponge.
Out of a fire event, you can get 5 to 10 times more runoff than what you would a pre-fire event. So a big concern of ours is to keep that fire acres as small as possible.
Well, sandbag filling and distribution will continue through the weekend. As for that fire, it is currently 35% contained after burning about 1,900 acres.
And there's a new fire sparking in eastern Arizona, the Bagnall fire burning just south of Show Low. This lightning-caused fire sparked Friday. Crews say the small fire quickly grew to 50 acres. It was fueled by grass and ponderosa pine in that area. Fire managers tell us they do expect it to keep growing over the next few days, but right now no structures are threatened. And a reminder that this weekend is your last weekend to register to vote before a special election that could impact the future of the light rail. Voters deciding whether or not the city should stop expanding the light rail and redirect that money to other projects. There was a fight to get this measure off the ballot, but the Supreme Court rejected it. If voters approve Prop 105, any planned rail extensions will be stopped, and the funds already set aside will go to other transportation projects. The city wants to expand the rail to South Phoenix and beyond, but community groups say it wastes money and creates more traffic and crime.
Businesses won't be able to survive the construction or any of this.
The reality is that this system and this vision and this dream is under attack right now and is at risk.
Okay, you have until the end of business on Monday to register for that August 27th special election. You can do that online at most libraries and government buildings, including the city clerk's office.
We broke the news earlier this month. Former Maricopa County Sheriff Joe Arpaio is considering a run for his old position. And today, Arpaio telling ABC News, yes, he's thinking about it, but he won't make a decision until next month. Earlier in July, billboards started popping up in downtown Phoenix saying, Joe Arpaio, one more time 2020. Well, Arpaio denied paying for those ads. After years of being on hold, just this week, the federal government announced it would resume executions, and now Arizona is set to do the same. ABC 15's Faye Fredericks is speaking exclusively with Arizona's Attorney General.
It took too long. I can't, this is ridiculous. 25 years later for this to go through.
Jeannie Brown watched for nearly 2 hours to see Joseph Wood, who took the lives of her sister and father, pay for what he did. The execution widely viewed as botched, and no one has been executed on Arizona's death row since. But that could soon change.
The policymakers or people want to oppose the death penalty and overturn it, ultimately that's up to the legislature or even the people. But if we have a death penalty and we have people sitting on death row that have been sentenced to death because of their heinous crimes, I think that justice demands that we move forward and carry out the ultimate punishment.
Arizona Attorney General Mark Brnovich writing a letter Friday to Governor Ducey saying a now resolved lawsuit removes legal barriers for executions, and a recent federal decision could make acquiring the necessary drugs, which has been one of the main issues, easier.
We're not talking about some strange exotic chemicals. We're talking about basically, things that put someone to sleep and then basically stop someone's heart from beating.
And that was Faye Fredericks reporting. A political debate is sure to come on this. It'll be up to the Department of Corrections to get the necessary drugs. 14 of the 116 inmates on Arizona's death row have exhausted all of their appeals. You can view each of their cases on abc15.com.
It is meant to make our ride safer. Technology is all over our cars today, but a new study finds that all of those gadgets are making it worse for one generation. AAA looking at 2 different age groups, those under 35 and those between 55 and 75. And they found that older group took their eyes off the road roughly 8 seconds longer when dealing with technology. And as you see here, that also fueled frustration behind the wheel.
Please say again.
I gotta pull over. This is pissing me off.
Please say again.
AAA says this has nothing to do with age, but how comfortable people are interacting with things like voice command systems or even touchscreens. They're hoping car companies will look at ways to make it easier for all generations to use safely. And in the meantime, they just remind drivers to practice while parked. Make sure you get the hang of it before you hit the road.
A new transportation option is coming to the Valley. It's a ride-hailing service, kind of like Uber and Lyft, but with a twist. It's for kids 6 and older. The company's called Hop, Skip, Drive. It's going to launch in Phoenix on Tuesday. So its mission to make transportation easier for busy parents. Okay, so what about safety? The company says that every driver is vetted extensively and must have at least 5 years of caregiving experience. Then they go through a certification process, including fingerprinting as well as an FBI and Department of Justice background check. Parents also get progress alerts when their child is picked up or dropped off. And parents can reserve rides hours in advance so they actually know who's coming. Hop, Skip, Drive already operates in California, Colorado, Virginia, and D.C. Finding the best deal on school uniforms coming up. Where to save on your back-to-school shopping.
Taking on bullying, a new survey shedding light on how often it happens and who's most at risk.
And it's their third day of the Cardinals training camp. We're talking with fans about their expectations for the upcoming season. Bird Gang was in full force as thousands headed to State Farm Stadium today. It's the third day of Cardinals training camp.
Yeah, 110-degree heat. That's not even going to keep the fans from making that trek. ABC 15's Cameron Pullum joining us with how they're feeling heading into the season and why training camp is so special.
Quoting one of my favorite athletes, this isn't a game, it's practice. But for diehard Cards fans, it's just awesome, signaling one important thing. Football is around the corner. They came in numbers. Excited for a new chapter, all eyes undoubtedly trained on one player.
Probably Kyler Murray because he's new.
It's the first time at training camp for Katie Baugh and her father, and for them, it's the perfect daddy-daughter date.
I think it's exciting, new offense, new quarterback, new coach. I think it's going to be good.
But with so many headlines for the Cards this season, including a possible final farewell for Larry Fitzgerald, anticipation has reached a fever pitch.
I think there's only 2 words for that, and that's the air raid, right? Air raid, baby. I'm excited to see it.
As Cards training camp gets underway, those in attendance are attempting to manage their expectations.
You gotta take it with a grain of salt because you don't know what to expect with the new coach and the new scheme that they're running.
The thousands that filled the stands getting an up-close view of what it may look like.
So the first thing that we notice is it's not as crowded, so it's pretty awesome just to be able to walk around freely.
Not only did they get a thrill from the happenings on the field, but off it during autograph sessions.
How you doing?
Good, how are you? I'm good. The big question is, will the season bring us pleasure or pain? As we say goodbye to the past and hello to the future, it just may be a little of both.